channel. This is Spring Porter with Spring Solutions LLC. In this video, I'm going to be going over an order on a motion for unclaimed funds that was denied. Now, on this channel and previously in my videos with the smaller deals, I have shown you where the order was granted. So here's just the opposite. If you're interested in learning about this, please stay tuned. Please note that I am not an attorney. This information is not indicated as legal advice. If you're new to my channel, you may not want to start with this video. This is sort of a bankruptcy unclaimed funds 301 class or course, and you're going to want to start with bankruptcy 101, and you're going to want to start with why there are unclaimed funds available to begin with. Now, I'm bringing this up now because I have a student that is enrolled in my course that had a question, and really good questions about why motions for unclaimed funds could be denied. And for the most part, they're denied because the debtor who had filed the unclaimed funds, maybe they forgot something simple. Maybe there is an ID they forgot. Maybe they forgot to mail it to the certain individual. Maybe they forgot to sign it to get it notarized. There's usually a simple matter, and it's usually a lack of process. But for this particular example, it's a lack of a legal procedure matter as opposed to just a regular process and formality. So this is the reason why this case got denied. So we're going to look this up. This comes from the Northern District of Indiana. This is Luis Baldwin. His case is from 2014. He filed bankruptcy. He's getting money back, and he gets about $17,000 back. So I said, wow, this is a really good case. Let me see if I can research it and call him. I was looking for leads, but I stumbled on this, so here we are. So I pull up courtlistener.com, which is a free site, plugged in the case number, and I'm checking the court docket to see if anyone has retrieved the money. That's what you're looking for. You want to verify if the funds are still there or did somebody remove them. So you're looking for a motion or an application of payment of unclaimed funds, and you want to check the order. The order is what has been granted or has been denied. In this case, it was denied. Now, at first glance, I actually thought it was the debtor, Mr. Baldwin, who filed this motion, but it was not. It was a creditor. So here you are. This is free. It's a free download. Someone already downloaded this, so we don't have to pay for it. If you want to go back and read this on your own, you can. Now, this is 8 pages. We all know that lawyers and judges are very long-winded. This could probably be reduced to 1 sentence, right? But at any rate, I'll pull out a few points. I won't read the whole thing. So basically, we have a creditor. In 2017, they filed a motion to reopen the case, and they filed a motion for payment of unclaimed funds. So 2 motions they filed in 2017, and basically they had a court hearing on these matters. Now, usually court hearings are not needed for unclaimed funds, only in maybe certain districts, but not everywhere. But in this one specifically, it's a creditor, not the debtor who's asking for his own money back. But it's a creditor, and they wanted to reopen the case, and they had like evidence and proof, so therefore they had to go to court. But even though they had all those things, the court still denies it right here. So here are the factual findings. We're going to find out why. So motions always go back in time a little bit. It talks about the debtor filing bankruptcy in 2014. He filed a Chapter 13. He put in the creditor as a judgment because it was a judgment that these creditors filed against Mr. Baldwin. So he included that in his bankruptcy. It was for about $5,200. So he did that. And then after he filed the Chapter 13, he had a certain amount of time to file the tax returns. This is the debtor. When you file bankruptcy, you have to show your pay stubs and your tax returns, and he did not file his outstanding tax returns, and so the court dismissed the case. They gave him a deadline to do it. He didn't do it, and then they dismissed the case. In every case, when it gets closed, it gets dismissed, the trustee has to file a final report. And that's basically just showing the accounting of the case. What came in, what was paid, what wasn't, that sort of thing. If you don't know who a trustee is, please make sure you check out my video, Bankruptcy 101, that I mentioned previously at the beginning of this video. That's going to show you the players of the case. So at any rate, the trustee files his final report, and then basically the case was closed. This line is very important, because it says, importantly, during the pendency of the debtor's case, the claimant, that is the creditor, never filed a proof of claim. So I'll post a video to claims here because those are needed in bankruptcy cases, especially if you're a creditor. Just because you have a judgment doesn't mean that you are entitled to the funds of the debtor. You have to actually file a proof of claim as the creditor in a bankruptcy case if you want to get paid. So they never did that. They never filed that. They never did it on time. So the trustee goes on, the case was dismissed, and basically it says that the trustee at the time of the dismissal was holding about $18,000 in undistributed funds. So there was money left over because none of it went to the creditors because the case is now closed. So they're holding the money. They tried to send it back to the debtor. It was unsuccessful. The debtor moved, again, can't find his address. The attorney didn't really chime in to say where, the debtor was, or nobody claimed the funds. So at that point, the funds have to go back to the U.S. Treasury, and they're waiting for someone to claim it. So basically, that basically went through. And during this time, the creditor did admit that they received this notice from the trustee that says the money was there. But it also says that they did not apply for the payment in a timely manner. So they didn't file their proof of claim. They didn't file or try to file a motion for unclaimed funds until much later. So here it is, 2017. They file their motion for payment of unclaimed funds like 2 years later. Then they finally file a proof of claim. And when they do that, they add in interest, because up here, we notice that the debtor said the judgment was for $5,200, but you can actually add in post-judgment interest. So that's the interest after the judgment was entered up until the point you want to enforce the judgment. So they add in an extra $3,000 some odd dollars. So here we have this. So the creditor filed the motion with the proof, with the judgment, with all of this interest. They go to court to try to get the money, basically. And even with all this proof, they try to reopen the case. The judge still says no, it's denied. And so this right here is just giving the legal conclusion of it. It's basically giving you a scenario as to when a motion to reopen the case would be reopened, if it follows this criteria. Basically, you have to have a good reason. And right here, it says denied. It was not a good enough reason to just have a judgment filed as to, why a case would be reopened, a bankruptcy case, that is. So it was denied. It goes on to talk about count 2, or the motion of payment of unclaimed funds, and basically why that was denied. It goes on to say that it was filed, yes, but also they forgot to submit their proof of claim in time. So those two things alone also deny it. And it basically says that the funds are still, go back to the debtor. Lewis Baldwin is the rightful owner of these particular funds because the claimant, that's the creditor, failed to show the court that they had an enforceable right to those funds. So that's basically it. So both motions that they filed were denied. Long story short, basically the court is saying you didn't file your proof of claim on time, and then you tried to reopen the case knowing good well that you didn't file it on time. So therefore, no to both. So that is a long, drawn-out explanation, but this order was denied. And to be honest, that means that the funds are still there for the debtor. So just because you see a denial of something doesn't mean that you can't continue to go after it. You need to read it. You're not going to become good at reading a court docket until you become, willing to step forth and really read it. You have to read it to know what's going on. So don't skip over things like this. If you see this and you're like, oh, this looks complicated, maybe the money is not really there, I'm just going to skip over and go to the next one. Read it. This is free. You might as well go ahead and look into it. Now, you probably won't have to do this for every single case, but this right here, if you were to actually get this is a pretty good substantial amount for you to actually go after. Why not read it? Go through it and read it. You could learn something. So at any rate, here's just another example again as to why I stopped working for attorneys. Now, I do freelance from time to time, but that's on my own terms, and it's contract work. But actually working in an office and all of that, this is a reason why it turns me away from that type of work, because you have some missed opportunities from the attorneys to actually service their clients properly. Here's Mr. Baldwin, filed Chapter 13, and he told his attorney, hey, I have a judgment from these creditors. Okay, so they put it in the bankruptcy case, but as the lawyer and as the legal person in charge here, you should know that you need to file a motion to avoid the lien, avoid that judicial lien, because then the clients, or the creditors rather, would not be able to come after the debtor again. So he did not file a motion to avoid the judgment, and they didn't get an order granting that motion for judgment be, issued. So here you have, again, a lack of protection of rights, because people file bankruptcy to avoid these types of things happening from the creditors. So missed opportunity from the debtor's attorney. He should have done that and he didn't do it. And here you have this money again. Did he really try to locate Mr. Baldwin? He is the counsel. Did he not know where he lived at the time that the money was here? Did he not get notice of it? I mean, these are just questions that I have. I really want to know why the money is still here, why he didn't claim it for him. That's a lot of money. You mean to tell me that he can't use that in the middle of a pandemic? Now, granted, maybe he is deceased, but there's no spouse, there's no child, there's no one that can claim it. But again, when a case gets dismissed, the attorneys are usually not going to go above and beyond, right? So again, missed opportunity. And here as a creditor, they have a counsel that also had a missed opportunity. Why would you spend money to go to court, to file a motion, to do this research, and you didn't file the proof of claim? Why did you not file it on time? So these are questions that I would have too for that. And again, missed opportunity. And this is something that I have witnessed firsthand when I'm working with attorneys, is just things fall through the cracks. And more often than not, it happens a lot more than you would imagine. You spend a lot of money and things really don't get done the way that they should. And it's really poor case management, to be honest. But at any rate, this is why this case, or this particular motion, these motions were denied. You can still go after the funds. Make sure you are aware of that. Look into this when you see that. I hope that this is helpful to individuals out there that are wondering, what is going on? Why would this be dismissed? You got to read it, especially to that student who was asking these questions. This is a different nuance. This is a rarity. It does not often happen. But again, this is an issue of law as to why this was dismissed, not an issue to like a processing or just one form was missing. This was actually, they missed a deadline on a procedure of filing a proof of claim, and they clearly get them. As a bankruptcy specialist, when I worked in a credit union, I was tasked with filing proof of claims. So I know that there's a deadline on that notice, and you have like a month or 2 months, and you have to file it in. Well, they missed that deadline, right? So that is what happens. So please don't skim over this. You could be missing a really good opportunity just because you didn't want to read something. So do that. Make sure you read that and you stay on top of your things. And just know that every case is not going to be the same. This case is a little bit more different than the ones that I have shown you. You're going to have difficult cases. You may have clients that are a little bit needy and they want to call you every second to find out where's the money, where's the money, or they may be slow at giving you information. Or you may have some that don't contact you at all and you can't even get them back on the phone and you're trying to give them information. So you have some that are all across the board. No case is the same. So you should be aware of that too. No client is going to be the same. They're all different. So just be aware of that. I hope that this is helpful. Please continue to like, share, and subscribe to my channel if you have not done so already. Please check out the links in the description box for my courses if you are interested. I do have new reviews coming up. I have a really good number of students now. Really excited about that. I do have a student that has gotten a deal, so I'm waiting on that testimony to come through. They actually got paid, so I'm going to be sharing that particular lead, that testimony with you shortly. And so just stay tuned for that and just continue to watch, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. See you soon.